Welcome to episode 4 of the Griswold Method podcast. Coming at you today. I'm going to jump right in super fast, super clean, and see if we can't get a bunch of work done in this short. I expect to be done in 20 minutes or less. That's my goal. Never past 20 minutes. It's my personal, let's just get honest. If you know me very well, you know that that's about my attention span. And so today I'm going to discuss legacy and building your legacy and what does that mean to you. I think it's important that if you know the background of what this podcast is all about, it's about me and what I've gone through and some of the losses that I've had to go through and how I've dealt with them. And what's really important for me in the future, and then maybe even for you in the future, is being able to get to a place that you're able to design a legacy for your kids with intention, design a future for your family with intention versus just guesswork and possibilities, and hopes. I did that. We lived that life once. And I can say that it's been more successful. The list has been checked off. You'll see soon that we're going to do a little video series about my family and the goals and how we set goals and what are we doing with our goals. And then you'll also get to see that we've marked off most of our goals for the year. It's been interesting in which way you put intention, your energy begins to flow. And so I'm going to jump right in. And so what I wanted to talk about today is the launching of my coaching. So we're doing some coaching stuff. I'm going to be doing some personal one-on-one coaching. I'd love to be able to jump on the phone with you. That free consultation, let's just jump on the phone. I've had some good conversations leading up and I've had some pressure to do that. And so coaching, I'm going to talk about that. But what's important is that I got a new logo. And, this is what I wanted to discuss. The logo is what really is the groundwork for what we're doing with the podcast. And the logo started back when my father was sick. And so it's interesting that it came full circle. I had no idea. And so I'll kind of pop the bubble here is when Dad got sick, I wanted something that was everlasting, that when he was gone was something I could tell his kids. My wife, we just had a baby January 1. I think we found out Dad was sick on January 12 of the same year. And so my youngest boy, Adler, he was an infant and never really got to know my dad. So I knew I had to build stories and I had to be able to build knowledge base and be able to build some things that I could be able to share with him, especially if this went awry. And from what the doctors told us, it was going to go awry. And so I had the epiphany that legacy, what does that mean? And I was thinking about legacy, and I like to watch, I think I was watching, it was in like Netflix. And sometimes I'll dive into that kind of stuff to distract myself. And it was it was one of those Viking shows. And it was really cool that they all had their own symbolism. And I love that they had some symbolism behind what their tribe was and some symbolism. And I thought, wait a second, what's my tribe? What's my family? And so that's where the logo comes from. And I'd like to tell you what it means. And as we go through this in just a moment, I'd like to be able to, maybe that's something that you want to design or create for you and your family. Maybe it's not, but at least on the worst case scenario, you'll at least understand my reason and rationale and the definition by which my family, which is the last name of Griswold, by the definition of which the standards that we believe that are important. And this is not my standards, this is my father's. And now that he's gone, this is a legacy that lives on past him. This family crest has changed a little bit since we worked on it, but nonetheless, the features are the exact same. And so as we look at this, let's talk about what are you creating and can you create a legacy? And if you own a business, I own a couple of businesses, and one of the first things we want to do is always establish who's our ideal client and what do we represent. Well, I think that that's fantastic, and it's got to happen in every business and entrepreneur setting, but let's get real. What about your family? What is the ideals that you guys uphold? What is the disciplines that you guys hold true? What does it mean to be a Jones or a Smith or a Griswold? And I'm going to tell you what it means to be a Griswold in just a second, but create your own. And so we dug around and we found the Griswold family crest, and the family crest was a naked lady on the top of it, which that's great, but we don't know who that naked lady was and didn't want a naked lady on the top of our family crest. And there was some different dogs because Griswold is like it has something to do with a German dog that was trained and yada, yada. So we changed it to fit our family. And so here we go. And so in the middle of it, you'll notice that there in the middle of the shield is a lion. And my dad was a Leo, and interesting enough, he played for the Bora Lions, and the lion just kind of followed him throughout his life. As I look at things that had happened, and even prior to his death, I had this dream of a lion jumping off of a pedestal and pressing its forehead. And some of my friends would listen to this podcast. They have listened, and they were here for the original story that came full circle. That was a dream about my dad passing the torch on to me long before he ever got sick. And so that's an important thing for us. And my dad was definitely the lion in our family. And from your reading left to your reading right, at the beginning, you'll see that there's a dove. And in our family, that we call that the Holy Spirit, but you may not be that Christianity or Christianese, if you will. You may just be that is intuition, or that quiet voice. And I want my kids to understand that there is a quiet voice that's inside of them, whether you believe it's the subconscious or I believe that it's the Holy Spirit, whatever it is, you have to listen to it. And so it's so important that we put that on our shield. And then the next one is the straight as an arrow. This means to walk with integrity. This means to walk as that you are. When you say you're going to be somewhere, you're there. You're reliable. My dad used to always say that I won't leave you much when I'm dead and gone, but here's what I will leave you: a good last name, clean, good last name, and I'll leave you with some integrity, and that's more than I can speak for most. And I believe that he did that, but I want to make sure that it's honored in our family crest. And so Dad was always as straight as an arrow, and we use that symbol to represent integrity. The Alpha and the Omega is the center of that. And so we know we put that in the center for obvious reasons, the beginning and the end. My family, we are Christians, and so that's what we believe. We believe that we are brought here for a purpose, and that when our purpose is fulfilled, that the Lord's going to call us back to heaven, and then we'll be able to reunite. And so that's very important to us and our family, the Alpha and the Omega. And then my father was honestly, he was a lumber broker. So he brought in massive quantities of oak, and that tree is an oak tree. And so it's dual purposed, really. It reminds me of Dad, and there used to be a scent that if you've ever been around a sawmill, I grew up having to work on a sawmill. That's why I became a chiropractor where there's an air conditioner, and I wanted to get out of that heat. But it has a certain scent to it. And so when I look at that oak, I just think of what do they use an oak for? Well, they used to use oaks to make ships to sail across the Atlantic. They still use oaks and all kinds of woodworking because they're long lasting. There's oak furniture that's hundreds of years old, and but more so than anything, it's reliable. It's always there. It's steadfast. And so as strong as an oak tree is something that a tenet that my family wants to be able to anchor into our kids. Deep roots, strong as an oak tree. And then the stallion, the stallion was actually a little bit of a joke when Dad was alive, but if I'm honest, to me that represents freedom. I know that there even in Oklahoma now, there are places where you can still see horses roam free. That's fantastic. But a stallion running out in the field, amazing and free, all the things, it just honestly, that represents freedom. And so pictures representing words, indefinite to thoughts and actions. And at the very bottom of that, the top 5% for me is what does my family think about me when I'm dead and gone? What does that mean to them? What does it mean to you? And what are you telling them? I have a friend he is very interested in legacy, and when he's doing a really cool thing, he's shooting on video. He's capturing a whole bunch of video about what he's doing for them, and basically a video journal that he's leaving for his kids. He's older. He's an older father, and he wants to make sure that when he is gone, that they can see him and remember him. And I think that's fantastic. But what is yours? What's your legacy? That's mine. That's my family crest, and that's what we're leaving to the kids, and they can change it. Hopefully they don't change it too much, but they can change it if they will. But these are the tenets that mean to be a Griswold, and what are the tenets that it mean to be you? Can you define those? Can you say that? Can your kids define those? One of my this weekend, my my oldest son was bragging about, he said, well, my daddy is the owner of 918 Chiropractics. And he said it's with an S because we have multiple clinics. And he was bragging to another little kid at the sandbox about me. And that's a little embarrassing that made me happy, but it made me happy that he was proud of his dad. And he was proud of his dad outside of what he thought I could hear. And that's what I think this shield is about. I think it's about these are the things that we can be proud of. These are the truths that we hold to be self-evident from the Declaration of Independence, if you remember any of that stuff. But that's what the truth is. And if that's what you leave behind, then there's picturesque or symbolism behind it, then all the power to you. And I challenge you to create one of your own. I challenge you to create something for you and your family that they see something and they immediately remember you, or they remember how you behaved. And there's more than that's defining your legacy as you start to lean and move that direction. So when we talk about the crest and the legacy that you leave behind, to the symbolism that your family will know and be able to understand, how do you define that? I found this writing. It was just a little blurb, 2 sentences. Yep, 2 sentences from Teddy Roosevelt, and I love it. And it goes to do with what I say and what we do in the office. It's what we talk about in the office. So I'm going to read it. We must all either wear out or rust out. Every one of us. My choice is to wear out. And so in my profession, we talk about arthritis and the joints fusing up, and we got to keep them moving. But I'm choosing to go as fast as I can, because I'll tell you what, I know for a fact that I was having a conversation this week with a patient that just can't get out of the chair to go to the restroom, and it's that frustrating, and they're not ancient. I think it's important that, like, I'm going to choose to wear out. I would rather have sore legs than not have any legs that I can move like I'm supposed to. We talk about, if you like sports, I think I was just reading the other day about Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. And Babe Ruth used to consume like 12,000 calories at one single sitting. And Lou would be working out and exercising and keep going. He stayed in his career for a lot longer, but he did it with grace and ease, and he stayed healthy and transitioned like he's supposed to. We all must either wear out or rust out, every one of us. My choice is to wear out. And so if you were given this really cool machine that's called the body, if you're supposed to take care of it, it's the one machine. I like vehicles. I like cars. I try to take care of them. I'm not the best at it. I have to bring others in that are experts. That's okay too, right? I think it's okay to be able to bring others in that are experts, that are looking at. I have a coach that's for my spirit life. I have a pastor that I speak with once a week. I have people that I bring in, experts, to work on my cars, my spirit. I'm an expert in the spine and human movement. I have a guy that works with me in functional movement. How does my muscles work? How's my soft tissue? I have somebody that works with me for my nutrition to make sure that's dialed in. So to me, it's like I'm willing to bring in all of the people and to consult all the experts so that I can live this best experience, especially when I saw somebody that I personally love go too quick. I want to be able to engineer that. And the only way that I can feel like I can engineer it is by learning from people that are ahead of me. And that's why I started some coaching. That's why I started doing some of the coaching stuff and being able to have the conversations. It's because I got a whole bunch of scars and bruises. I got a whole bunch of backlash. We have 3 practices, the gym. We're opening an IV clinic. We're opening another healthcare facility. I got some scars and bruises that I bet you could learn from. And so I'd like to just jump on the phone, give you an opportunity to jump on the phone and talk with me about it. And if something that resonates with you, maybe we talk for longer. Maybe we talk once or twice a month. Maybe we talk once a week. Just depends on what you want to do. But I'm going to leave you with this, and this is where I'm at right now, and it's how I'm creating some of my personal journey and how I'm taking care of my overall. I found this the other day, and I don't know if I found it or read it or what happened. So if this is yours and you're hearing the podcast, put a little comment in the tag below. Or if you know who I found this from, I don't know where I found it. But really, I was thinking about my mother was doing something with the 4-H club in my hometown, and I was like, what does that even stand for, 4-H? And I don't remember. So I'm from a small town in Mountain View, Arkansas, where there's about 2,500 people, no stoplight until I was a junior in college. Tiny little town. And 4-H club, I'm not even still for sure what it stands for, but I know what I wrote down. I wrote down the 5H Club, and I like this, and so I'm going with it right now. And if you like it, write it down. Head, heart, hands, health, and habits. And so as I began to write down, even on my schedule for this week, is for me, how am I going to master my head? Well, I got to read something every morning. I got to be able to establish that. I got to be able to put some time in, whether it's the Bible, who I'm working with a spiritual coach to be able to guide myself that way, or read some of the old philosophy stuff, or read just some cool stuff. I don't know, but head, heart, prayer and meditation. My personal coach has got me praying for 5 minutes and then listening for 5 minutes, which is interesting. That's not what you usually do. You usually tell, hey, dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I need to tell you all these things, and thank you, thank you, thank you, and see you later, talk soon. And now I'm having to sit there in the quiet for 5 minutes. And that's a long 5 minutes, but I'll tell you what, we forget to listen. And how's he supposed to tell me anything if I only talk to him one way? It's like this podcast. You can't talk to me back unless you're a guest on the show. And so I really like that 5 and 5, right? Hands, do something to bless someone else. Now, I mean, like that means to physically do something. Is that write a note? Is that buy the coffee for the person behind you? But with your hands, bless somebody. Health, exercise, diet, smoothie, green smoothie, 86th the piece of cheesecake. I don't know. Delete something or add something. Just choose one thing. Health and habits. What is it? I can't tell you that one. The snooze button, I don't know, the second glass of wine, the third cup of coffee, the third episode on Netflix. What is it? So here's where I'm going to go back to that. As you leave a legacy, here's how you can justify your day. Are you serving your head, your heart, your hands, your health, and your habits? There may be a cool graphic that comes up. I don't know, but let's really focus on those things: the head, the heart, the hands, the health, and the habits. And with your hands, remember, go bless somebody else. Use the things that God gave you to serve the others. And so with that, I wrap it up. I want you to know this, though. What is your legacy? What are you going to leave behind that your kids are going to know? This is how we define mom. This is how I define dad. This is how I define myself. Not the question, I've gotten the question before, is like, what do you want written on the gravestone? Well, I'll tell you, I want more than just something written on the gravestone. I want some pictures that define me. And if that's something that resonates with you, grab somebody on Fiverr. I don't know. I think I paid $100 maybe. It wasn't a very expensive. Now this logo that you're seeing now is done by an expert. He's done it all up and made it awesome. The first one looked like a cartoon. So it does morph, but I want you to know is this is my legacy, and this is what I'm defining it as. And this is what my kids can know me by. These are my calling cards. And what are yours? Thanks again. And I hope this challenges you to be able to make sure that you're maintaining your head, your heart, your hands, your health, and your habits. Thanks again. Bye-bye.